Hey guys, and welcome to a battle between Papa Palpatine, our YouTube's resident Chaos player, taking Warriors of Chaos, of course, up against El Halcone, representing Extreme Meme Team and the forces of the Wood Elves. Now, I have actually just cast this game about 20-30 minutes ago, but unfortunately the replay was a little bit bugged as this was on the beta and I wasn't, so we've switched over and we're back here again. So it's going to be interesting to see how things differ, as the beta did mess up the replay quite a bit. So for the forces of Chaos up in the front lines, it looks like Chaos Warhounds with Poison, which are generally just a fantastic pick in this matchup. They can chase down enemy skirmishers, poison them, drag them down, all that good stuff, and come up against Wood Elves, you're expecting a lot of archer fire and the need to press and put a lot of pressure on. So I quite like that pick overall. Now for the front line, it looks like he does have Chaos Marauders dotted all the way along, which are cheap, cheerful, and shielded, so fantastic up against Wood Elves, and they do beat down the majority of Wood Elf infantry. Looks like we do have a unit of Mirror Guard as well, the Regiment of Renowned Chaos Warriors, and these guys are Sigvald's, favourite boys, and they're pretty decent overall in this matchup, coming at 100 armour and silver shields with very decent melee stats. I quite like the immune to psychology here as well, considering you can come against tree men, Durfu, and all those nasty, scary beasties. In the back here, he has double Marauder Horsemen to add a little bit more mobile pressure upon the enemy, as well as a Rogue Chaos Giant. And I always forget how awesome the Chaos and Beastmen Giants look, because I'm not too used to seeing them. And, he's certainly going to be a confusing pick to the enemy, and perhaps something that he didn't prepare for. He only does come with 30 armour, as we can see, a bronze shield, however, but he's pretty susceptible to missile fire. And of course, going up into Wood Elves, you wouldn't think he's a good pick at all, but it's certainly going to catch your opponent off guard, and he's going to be able to beat the absolute crap out of all the infantry if he can indeed catch them. We have a Chaos Sorcerer of Lord of Shadows on foot here, which is a pretty damn cool inclusion. I'm actually a big fan of Sorcerer Lords in general, as well as the Archmages for the High Elves. Coming in with Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, and Melkoff's Mystifying Miasma, as well, of course, as Arcane Conduit. And it looks like that is going to be the build here for the Force of Chaos. Really cool build, and not something you would often see necessarily in this matchup for sure. Now, for the forces of the Wood Elves, they have got one of my newfound kind of favourite units. Now, they've been good for a while, but I just didn't use them too much. I was too focused on Way Watchers and the like, but we do have 4 Glade Riders. These guys are incredibly fast. You can get the Hagbane tip versions as well. It looks like he has a few of those dotted in to poison and slow down your enemy, and they have a surprising amount of AP, and they can even go toe-to-toe with hounds in combat if they do get the charge. So, cool little core of those guys. It also has a Spellsinger of Shadows on her steed, doing the cool double leg riding, bringing a Power Stone as well as Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, and Melkoff's Mystifying Miasma. So the same set out actually as the Chaos Lord, and a Glade Lady on top of her Mighty Pony, of course coming in with Prayer of Enough Rama and Arrows of Kernos. I wish they had the Stag mount, which is something I think they will bring out hopefully in the next Wood Elf DLC. Looks like we have one Lone Way Stalker as well, just coming down here with Arrows of Kernos, which those guys together would be able to take down like kind of a Hell Cannon or something like that. And over hidden in the woods, we do have a unit of Sisters of Thorn here, and if you're, seen anything on my channel before, I'm a huge fan of these guys, as well as the Wardens of Sifril here, Regiment of Renowned Wildwood Rangers there, who are, pretty damn decent overall. I think are underpicked as well. Anti-large, decent damage, AP, they're pretty damn awesome all round. They also sunder armor, but personally I like rolling them with other units rather than kind of pushing them out on their own there. He also has a double Treekin, one of which is the Firebark Elders, and double Wildwood Rangers, so some pretty awesome stuff. And considering these guys are going to be fighting in the woods here, they will actually gain a bonus versus large, and this is an ability a lot of people don't know about, Guardians of the Wildwood. So when they are in the forest, plus 12 bonus versus large and charge defense versus large is pretty damn useful stuff overall, considering they already have decent damage output. So it looks like the Hounds and the Chaos Knights have found these Wardens of Sifril isolated here, getting a lovely charge on these guys as well, doing some pretty huge damage straight out the gate. Now, the Wardens would easily beat the Chaos Knights in a one-to-one fight here in the forest, but, if they can effectively cycle charge, these guys are going to be a bit useless, so I prefer to see them over here with the Treekin. Looks like some of the Warhounds have taken some early skirmish fire from the Glade Riders, and, that's what they're going to be good for. They need to get aggressive, though, pop on top of these horsemen, take them out, which they can do quite quickly. And where is that Waystalker? He's starting to fall back to the trees, which is a good idea, so he doesn't want to get isolated up over here. A lot of fire is raining down. It looks like it is trying to focus down the Model Horsemen, which isn't a bad idea. They're one of the very good answers to the Treekin in this build. But at the same time, Glade Riders can do a decent amount of AP, so could also focus down the Chaos Knights with that mass fire. We do have a big engagement up here. It looks like the Wardens have been absolutely hammered by a thunderous charge from double Chaos Warhounds and double Chaos Knights, doing some really nice damage. These guys only have 14 kills, and they're a very expensive unit to lose this early. I mean, they've still got about a third health, but it's looking a little bit rough. Melkoff Misfire Miasma has been popped on the Wildwood Rangers, and it looks like the Wood Elves have formed up a new battle line, waiting for the Chaos to come into the trees, and then trying to use the extra mobile parts of their force to pick on the Chaos and force them into this engagement, which of course they really don't want. So as a Fawn, get a little bit of poke into the Chaos Knights, who are counter-charging here, but they need to be careful. They don't want to get involved with these Wardens, despite how beat up they are. Good micromanagement here as well by Palpatine, pulling back the Chaos Knights. Now, over in the distance, it looks like all 4 of these Glade Riders have been isolated by the Hounds. They simply need to charge these guys. They will easily be able to kill them in combat very, very effectively and quickly. But it looks like they're still looking to flee. They have pretty decent melee stats overall. 28 melee attack and 24 melee defense is certainly no pushover up against the Hounds here. So they should turn, engage, and just swamp. And it looks like... no, it looks like they're just going to let that spellstone get eaten, but perhaps they will fire some shots in. Looks like they're not on fire at will. Big fight going down in the Woodstow up here on the high ground. Warriors are Sifra up to 34 kills, but are going to be running for the hills here. And in come the Sister Fawn trying to push away these Warhounds and the like. And the ones Sifra, unfortunately, have down to 30 miles, not doing too good. A lovely pendulum coming down does catch those Wildwood Rangers, mostly dodged by Elhal Cone, who honestly has some of the greatest micro in the game. Is a very top tier player, but still gets caught nonetheless. Now this is really kind of funny watching this again, as in the replay, which is bugged when you do it on a different beta, these ones of Sifra actually got up to like 80 kills. Like the entire battle changes. It's so bizarre how it works. Anyway, coming downhill comes the Giant with a big old swing, using a big lump of wood to beat up some lumps of wood, which is pretty damn funny. Chaos Marauders are running against Wildwood Rangers, which they're probably going to trade against relatively effectively. Actually got into the rear of them there. These guys were facing the wrong direction. But Wildwood Rangers should be able to outclass the Chaos Marauders quite heavily. But at the same time, points for cost, those Marauders are pretty decent damage dealers all round. Looks like we're going to be seeing a second pendulum cutting through here, and that is deadly stuff coming through the Wildwood Rangers, who are very in a tightly packed formation and doing good work up against the Chaos Knights, who have been hit by the curse, but unfortunately for them, they really took a big blow there. Looks like all these Glade Riders have been far too out of the battlefield so far, and they need to kind of get involved in the action as much as possible and work with synergy, because otherwise this ground force will eventually lose to sheer attrition. Waystalker does have Shield of Thorns popped on him, but he is going down unfortunately at this point. Firebug Elders still being slowly beaten to death by this Chaos Troll, who is on 0 kills at the moment, but some huge HP damage. And things are looking pretty damn rough at the moment for the Wood Elves. The Wildwood Rangers, Sisters of Fawn, all being beaten back at this point. It looks like a huge counter pendulum does come in, though, this time inspired by perhaps what the Chaos were doing. Chaos Marauders taking some huge work as well as Chaos Knights, so not too bad at all. There's still a lot of Glade Riders as well who can come back and do some decent damage. A net has gone down on these Marauder Horsemen, and I expect a huge volley to be incoming in any second right now, as the Glade Riders do start to emerge on the distance here. And that Spellsinger seemed to appear from nowhere there. That was awesome, as she comes charging in to try and beat down some of these Marauder Horsemen. And once again, the Glade Riders trying to save their ammunition, perhaps waiting to deal with that Marcy Giant later on. They will, through sheer kind of weight of numbers here, probably be able to push back the Marauder Horsemen, but I don't know if that's a worthwhile trade. Melkoff's has been popped down as well, but there's Hounds coming free here, as well as Marauders who can come over and make them pay the price. So this is the Fawn doing some effective skirmish up against the Chaos Knights. It looks like they are just about going to be able to fall back here, throw some javelins and do some decent damage. And then the big Bob fight is certainly going the way of the Giant here, who's up to 6 kills. Very impressive stuff, considering he's taken down Tree King and the like. And it looks like all the Wildwood Rangers did unfortunately fall back for the Wood Elves here. Waystalker is routing, but he should be coming back into the action anytime soon. The Tree King slowly being down here, and that Glade Lady just got herself in a right pickle there, unfortunately, and is being dragged down by the Chaos Giant, which isn't too good for him, unfortunately. up in the high ground. It looks like the Glade Riders are now going toe-to-toe with some Chaos Knights. Enfeebling Foe has been popped on them, however, so not going to have the biggest amount of damage output. But these Glade Riders really need to start loosening some of these arrows. I understand he's probably trying to save ammunition for the Giant, them being one of the only units which can drag him down. But at the same time, you know, if you're dead, by keep chucking yourselves into combat and losing models, your damage output is going to reduce quite a lot here. Sisters of Thorn, been hit by Melkovs, have been dragged down here by some Chaos Knights. Great play all round so far by both players, but bounce power is relatively in the favour of the Chaos right here. Waystalker has rallied and the Spellslinger Shadows is still going strong, but it does look like the Glade Lady did bite the dust here. So still a decent skirmish core here, which should start loosening some arrows, try and break off these Chaos Knights. Obviously they don't want to rout off the field here. Some arrows are coming in, but I suppose every time he loses an arrow as well, the balance power is actually going to go down because ammunition does count towards that. And up over here, it looks like some tricking. I actually managed to beat the crap out of this Chaos Sorcerer Lord quite badly here, down to just 450 health. There's no need for him to go into combat anymore, he can just chill out. Giant is wailing on these Treekin, doing some pretty decent damage overall. So up here, Glade Riders are trying to focus down at the Chaos Knights at this point. I don't know if the Wood Elves can realistically win this. I mean, if they use all their ammunition on the right targets and these guys come back, perhaps there's a chance of some effective cycle charging, but the Mirror Guard are still strong, and there's a ton of Chaos Marauders around, and still Chaos Knights. Although, I mean, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is pretty weak, but this Giant is a thick boy at the moment. Looks like he has shifted up as well, up to only 10 kills, but all of those guys have been Treekin, so doing pretty good work overall. And what a wild pick. I don't think I'd ever see a Chaos Giant up against Wood Elves, but it certainly caught this build off guard. I don't think the build was kind of really ready to deal with such a thick Giant up here. He's doing decent work here, just clubbing down Firebark Elders. They're not really going to be able to do too much damage back, to be honest, and he's still relatively healthy. And up over here, yeah, simple stuff, kind of like trying to scrap and skirmish as much as possible. Has forced off some Chaos Knights and some Horsemen, actually doing a pretty decent job with this skirmish core. Needs to ensure he does chase down these units where possible and force them off the field. But we'll skip forward a little bit, as it looks like there's going to be a lot of skirmish in these late games here. Horsemen have managed to force off one unit of Glade Riders. The others are starting to come together now for the final engagement, what I assume is going to be the final engagement. So they do dart forward, loose a couple of arrows before falling back once more. It looks like the Spellslinger Shadow as well, just trying to rally the troops where possible. Now, did that Waystalker survive? I don't think he did, unfortunately. It looks like he may have gone down. Here, 1 or 2 arrows of Colonels into the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Could have been pretty good here. Arrows are being currently loosed into the rear of the Mirror Guard, who are not facing the right direction, so their shields aren't doing them any good. They do realign themselves now. You can see some arrows sticking out the back of that thick armour, but these guys should be pretty fine. And I think he's probably going to expand his ammunition on targets that he seems fit, but even if, honestly, he loses all of these arrows into the Giant and kills the Giant, I don't think there's too much he can do, but some pretty decent damage coming in here on top of the Mirror Guard. Nice defensive formation has started to be formed here by the Forces of Chaos as well, staying relatively tight. They know they can't catch the Riders here, so no point trying just yet. Just try and save your more important targets. Some Marauder Horsemen up in the periphery there, needs to come back though, just a bit of pressure, make these guys waste ammo on the wrong targets and the like. And yeah, so let's get forward a little bit. Archfire just trying to snipe out the Lord, it looks like, for the most part, which is a pretty good idea. But army losses actually breaks because of the loss of that ammunition. So pretty victory there. I don't think the Wood Elves could have won it, just, even if he assassinated the Lord and even killed the Giant. There was just far too much infantry on the field. But well played to both of these competitors. Massive shout out to Elves and Papa Palpatine. I've had them both on the channel before, and both are absolute champs. And a massive shout out to Papa Palpatine for sending this one in to me. Really interesting builds. I like the idea of this Wood Elf build quite a lot, actually. I might try it on similar maps. Using the Wildwood Rangers on the top of the Treekin can be very effective. They didn't do too fantastic, mainly because of those lance and charges from those cavalry, and also the Wardens being a little bit out of position. I understand they were kind of pushed up in order to protect the Sisters of Thorn, but there wasn't really any need to Vanguard. So I probably would have left them a little bit back. Nice play as well with the Glade Riders. Managed to hunt down all the Hounds and the Marauder Horsemen and the like. But I think they need to be a little bit more involved in the battle and kind of, you know, trying to help in those main blob fights, firing poison and arrows in, helping swing those kind of key engagements. But nonetheless, some pretty good stuff. Good to see the Glade Lady as well on a horse instead of a dragon. As for Palpatine's build, pretty damn wild stuff. Now, for the majority of the build, I think it's, you know, relatively sensible and relatively good up against Wood Elves. Chaos Warhounds of Poison are fantastic here. Chaos Knights, of course, and cheap and cheerful Marauders. Chaos Lord of Shadows is a really cool pick as well, but the Chaos Giant's pretty damn rogue. I don't know how it would realistically fare in a kind of stereotypical Wood Elf build, perhaps, if it's going up against, you know, Way Watchers and so forth, but it does have a huge health pool, so I'd certainly be interested to see more of his games with bringing the Giant. But up against the Treekin, it was a perfect counter here, and did some really good work. So anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We have loads more Total War Warhammer content coming out soon, as well as some tournament play that I'm going to be kicking back up relatively soon. And feel free to like the video as well, and comment and all that good stuff. And if you want to have your videos up on my channel, get involved in the tournament scene, King of the Hills, all that good stuff, feel free to join my Discord. There is a link just down below in the description. And yeah, should be some good fun. I may be a little bit slow answering questions because I am actually away this week. I've said it in like the last few videos, so I'm sure you're tired of hearing it by now. But yeah, so these are all kind of pre-recorded the week before anyway. So anyway, guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.